I've seen this trend on TikTok where TikTokers are pretending to like ask their audience for time off as if their audience is their boss, and I really like it. I thought it was funny. So right now I have like 60 subscribers. We're very small, but we're gonna do that. So I'm gonna vlog my day, but from the angle that y'all are my boss. So good morning. It is Monday. Today we have very little meetings, a lot to get through. We have out of office coming up starting late next week. So we're gonna start the day strong. My voice is like not here, it's fine. With activity. So I'm gonna go walk my dog and then we're gonna go to the gym and then we're gonna start the day early around 7:30. So I like to do this to get my mind right so I can show up the best I possibly can. So I'll talk to you soon. So it's Tuesday now. Please don't fire me. Apologies for missing yesterday. Look at this weight. It actually wasn't a crazy day. Today is a crazy day. We have a lot of meetings. We also have a fair amount of to-dos. I'm doing a better job of segmenting to-dos versus meeting days. So like I front-loaded my Monday with a lot of to-dos because today's a meeting day. We do still have a fair amount of to-dos. So let's run through my schedule. It's Tuesday, June 17th. Ugh. So this morning I walked my dog. I do track Tuesdays is what I call them. So I go up to the track near me and I run for 30 minutes and I do like a speed workout. And today's was brutal. Come back, take a shower, make my coffee, still working on my coffee. And then I sit down by 8. From 8 to 10, I have a deep work block. So that was sales and partnerships. I ended this around 9:40 because I just went out and walked Betty for a minute. And now I was supposed to have a 10 a.m. lead call that got rescheduled on the leads end for next week. So don't have to worry about that. So from 10 to 11, I have open time here that I'm going to knock out a bunch of these to-dos. And then I have a meeting from 11 to 11:30. And then I have a break from 11:30 to 1. And so in that break, I'm going to, hold on. I'm going to work on to-dos, take my dog up to the park, eat lunch, and then I have a client meeting from 1 to 2, overlap from 2 to 3, so I'm joining a client training from 2 to 2:30, and then I have a client stand-up from 2:30 to 3, and then I have a meeting from 3 to 4, but I can only make it for the first 20 minutes, so I'm sitting in on a development meeting for the first 20 minutes, and then I go out to enrich. I protect that time with my life, and I met with this client like 3 times last week, and they have other people on the call, so I'm really sitting in for the first 20 minutes. And then I have a 4 to 4:30 touch base with the client. And then 4:30 to 5:30, I need to do testing on a client who we're building an onboarding system for. And then 5:30 to 6, I have my moving task of the day. So really in some of these meetings, I'll be able to do things on the side, but not really. So this next hour is really gonna count. And as you are my boss, is what I'm supposed to be pretending, even though yesterday I really dropped the ball. I'm gonna just go heads down for the next hour and I'll try to check in before this client stand up. But yeah, we have about 2 hours of really solid work ahead of us because I'll be able to work through the stand up as well. So anyway, talk to you soon. We've made the coffee. That was just the dog park, like 10 minutes maybe with my dog. I had my hair down. 3 bees flew directly into my hair. That was insane. Anyway, I'm currently working in a mess because I'm packing to move. Hence everything looking very empty. Like all my frames are gone. This is gonna be gone in a couple days. I'm actually using my lunch break to work on moving. Anywho, had a tense meeting. Let's dive into that a little bit because this is a very common pain point for software PMs, what I'm experiencing. I've navigated it before. I've never navigated it to this degree. Sorry, hold on. All right, so this client is like a big-ish company. They're not huge, but they're a coffee franchise, and I'm working with the headquarters. And we're doing an app launch for them. And we have a really small team of devs working on a really complicated project. We also have 2 key vendors. There's more than just the 2 vendors, but the 2 key vendors. One is for the integration with DoorDash, Grubhub, Uber Eats, all that. The other one is the like the designers, people who are helping us actually build the app. They're like professional app devs. They are helping us with the development, but not completely, because when you have something like a restaurant, the app needs to update the menu. So the vendor is building like the user experience, they're bringing the prototypes to life. The internal team's job is to make sure that the menu is functional, that things are updating from the internal to the new app, and that the migration goes really smoothly because they have an existing app, so this is a replacement. Anywho, I've had issues since the start with scope creep and horrible communication with these developers. And in the beginning, what was told to me by leaders was just give the devs their time to move. And from the beginning, I was sounding the alarm on I'm experiencing a lot of scope creep. I feel like there's a lack of clarity around deliverables. You've resisted my recommendation to create definitions of done. So I can't really tell you what the end user should expect from deliverable XYZ. Red flags as a PM. Okay. We're rolling and things are going well. And then we're reaching those critical path points. So if you've taken your PMP, you've heard about the critical path. It's the things that have to happen in order for the project to stay on track and be completed. So these critical path milestones are just simply not happening. And they're not happening because of technical debt we accrued. So technical debt, think of it like a Band-Aid fix in development. So when something goes wrong and the devs are okay, well, we'll just do this little workaround to force it to work. Those little workarounds rarely can be a long-term solution, so we refer to them as technical debt, and you want to keep technical debt as minimal as possible. It's pretty much impossible to avoid completely, but you really want to minimize it. And so as a PM, that's something I'm tracking as a risk, is this is scary. Okay. So now I reached a point where the two really big problems are scope creep and scope governance, and communication with these devs. So for example, yesterday I have a twice a week stand-up as part of my improved communication plan that I implemented a month ago to try to get a better pulse, because I go to some of their stand-ups, I can't make all of them. And the stand-ups, what happens is I get one update in the stand-up or one update in my meeting with them, and then we meet with leadership and it's a completely different conversation. And all of a sudden I'm this is the first I'm hearing of this, and we just talked 4 hours ago. That just happened at a meeting earlier this morning, and the VP called me after and was hey, WTF? And I was WTF, bro? I also don't know. And I have been raising the alarm to him for weeks now of I don't feel confident. I don't feel clear. I'm not getting good communication. Last week I met with their scrum master. Same thing, was I'm officially more than worried. I'm red panic worried. Not actually. No PM should ever be in red panic. It's our job to stay cool, calm, and collected. Internally, I'm this is going off the rails fast. Yeah, so he was I don't get it. Every time I talk to these devs now too, it's a different story. So he's sharing a lot of my frustrations, which is good, but also at the end of the day, if the project doesn't go well, that does come back partially on the PM, whether or not I've been raising the flag. I can attest to that, but the outcome of the project, my results they're not up to par. And it's not all about me, but that also reflects on the good of the organization. Now we're running into budget concerns, timeline concerns with the vendors. There's a lot going on, especially in the United States. We're coming up on the 4th of July, which is a major holiday when people take off. So I have a little note up here. I've been, sharing small tweaks we can make, but essentially no one's enforcing boundaries. And so we need something, and it has to start at the top. So leaders, they got to start enforcing them boundaries. Their team is overloaded, so helping with prioritizing and then becoming a gatekeeper for requests. So I think that is a big one, is just making me the gatekeeper of all requests, and then I can triage instead of letting the devs just kind of hear it from their leaders, and also me talking to each of their leaders and being hey, here's what all these ad hoc requests are doing to our timeline. And then, yeah, the other thing is okay, so the change control process, they work in a really bad project management tool. So I've been putting the bug in their ear. That's not going to be something we can fix for this project, but that's more of a long-term fix, is more of a centralized PM system. And then helping their scrum master refocus, because their scrum master is doubling as a dev right now. So I have to figure out something, maybe a RACI matrix to figure out who owns what and where communication is failing. And then, yeah, sprint goals we talked about. But beyond that, that's all we got. So we have a come to Jesus meeting at 4:30 today. It's 12:30 right now. I am going to work on my moving tasks for the next 30 minutes as part of my lunch break. Hope that's okay, boss. Yeah. Okay. Coffee, nectar of the gods.